top 10 worst experiences I've had trying to escape a situationship. Number 1. So I ordered a book by an indigenous artist, um, and the sole provider for myself and my child at that time, he was about 10 months old, 2017, he saw the book. He saw that I ordered it because I wanted to read it, and decided to cut us off from groceries for at least 3 months. He took my car. He told me that his car was broken down, that he couldn't drive it because it would need to be repaired, and he took my car to work every day for 3 months. And come to find out, eventually he said it was, and of course he didn't come home. He didn't come home until late. We couldn't leave. We couldn't really get groceries unless he brought us something. Come to find out, he said he fixed it in his car. And he said, oh, it was a $30 part. And I said, well, why didn't you fix it 3 months ago? And he said, because I didn't want you to go anywhere. So that's number 1, because it's probably the worst instance I had. I actually had to call someone to come pick us up, a relative to come pick us up, and then like spoon feed me because we were like starving. Literally, I don't know. It's kind of a blur. Okay, I might do 5. I don't know if I can get to 10, but we'll do the top 3 or 5. Okay, number 2. This is pretty sad and pathetic. I actually left with my son one day, and I tried to find help, but I was out of gas, and so I parked at the airport, local Spartanburg Greenville Airport, and kind of like an area where there were some workers and things like that. And one of the workers called me, like asked if he could help me, and brought me into like, I guess it's like a station, like where they work. And I told him I didn't know what to do, and he basically offered me some gas money. He gave me $100 bill, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I took my son downtown to the park. We walked around the park for a little bit at Falls Park, Reedy River, and I gave at least, I think I bought gas, and then I gave $60 of it to like a homeless lady that was at the park, and then I went back home because I didn't know what to do. Okay, number 3, worst scenario. I snuck out of the house one night in the middle of the night because I had been accused of some stuff that I didn't understand, and I called the police, and I said, what do I do if somebody like tried to drug me? And they said, well, go to the hospital and get a drug test, and if you find something, then we can do a police report. Well, so I went to the ER, took a drug test, and I didn't find anything. But I ran out of gas on my way back home. I didn't have the baby with me. I snuck out because everybody was asleep. And so I had to call the person that I thought did this to me and tell him to come pick me up and bring me some gas. That's pretty bad. Drug test was negative. I think I was just paranoid because I was like, I don't get it. What do you mean? Okay, so here's a good one. I actually left somebody who was pretty abusive towards me, and I had my child with me. He was probably about 2, 3. He was about 3 at this time, and I got a text message. Well, actually, I had left my phone at home. I went to my friend's house for a little bit, and I got home early, probably like 8:39 p.m., and I had a text message that said, WYD, what you doing? And so, of course, that doesn't sound really important, right? So we fell asleep. I had to put the baby to sleep. And next thing you know, somebody comes banging on all my windows, like windows in my bedroom. And I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? And so I hop up, and I go wake my roommate up. And I'm like, who the hell is outside? Like, who's outside? And she goes, oh, and she goes and opens the door, which is so totally stupid of both of us. We should have just called the police. And the person that said, what you doing, runs in and says, where's your phone? Takes my phone. The baby's screaming and crying, and he's berating me for not having my phone for however. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I've been calling and texting you all day and you didn't respond. And I'm like, I got one text that said, what you doing? Why are you in here cussing us out in the middle? It was like midnight, screaming and yelling and taking my phone, and like I'm getting berated all night long. Okay, this is kind of random. This is way back, probably 2017. I was living in this person's house and with my child, and I wake up and I hear, this is what fear does to you, I hear some woman screaming out in the middle of nowhere, like where I live out way out in the country. Somebody screaming in the middle of the woods, and I'm like, dude, wake up, there's somebody out here screaming. And this man is just knocked out asleep. And I just I went out on the porch, I looked, and I kind of just prayed, but I was scared to call at this point I was scared to call the police. I've got over my fear now. I call the police if something happens, but I listened to some woman screaming out here, and it's part of me that was just it's almost like it was me, you know what I'm saying? I was afraid to say anything, just terrible. But I just sat there and took it. Okay, so this is one night where I actually thought that I died. I thought that I died, and as I was dying, I prayed that a sister or some other woman would come and take care of my family and be like me, and because I knew that I wasn't going to wake up. And I was in so much pain that when I woke up, however long later, the next day or so, I couldn't believe that I was alive, almost to the point that I was disappointed or that I was scared, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, like, how am I alive? And I was in so much pain, my back and my neck and all these different things that I didn't really understand. So I already posted my missing story. I'm not going to recap that one. That was probably the worst, where I almost died. I was in the hospital for like 10 days, and I didn't remember a lot of it. I had to retract like my medical records to figure out. But I just recently discovered I had 2 medical records that I don't even remember. One of them I remember, and it was a very terrifying event to where I was being stalked, and somebody held me at gunpoint at a very long time, until a police officer actually showed up, called an ambulance for me, took me to the hospital. And that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's kind of a metaphor that I don't really, and then just because of the fact that I don't remember a lot of it, and then the next day, the person that did this picked me up from the ER, and I was looking at my hospital records, and I have a second emergency room visit on the next day, and I was like, I went back to the emergency room? I don't remember going back. So, as a person with a lot of head trauma, back, neck, and spinal injuries, it really sucks that I don't have memories of some of this stuff. I try not to get too like creative or like fantastical about it. Those are probably the worst things I could think of. Definitely like starving. Oh, but I want to tell you, so the number one worst scenario is where I ordered this book from some indigenous pretendian dude. And then I said, dude, I bought your book and I lost my grocery money. And he like retweeted it like it was funny. But I mean, too little too late, sorry, you're screwed up, you're messed up. I hope that, like, don't trust these people. They say they're going to help you. They're not going to help you. They don't really care. That's kind of what I felt like when I started to reach out to a lot of people for help, and I ended up having to help myself.